Hey, this is Pamela Riemenschneider. I'm the retail editor for Blue Book Services, and this is the Produce Reporter Week in Review. Greg, another week, another retailer lowering prices, and now the Washington Post has a story about it.
Someone's finally noticing out there in consumer land.
Out there in the mainstream, they're starting to catch on to us in the fringe. Uh,
We've been
but
talking about this for more than a year about how retailers need to do this and make it well known and promote it heavily. And I would suspect their lack of growth in volume is spurring this on. Try to get back to that.
Actually, yes, we had that news release from Target. They are lowering prices on 5,000 items, marking it as a summer promotion. And I can remember time and time and time again seeing news releases from retailers talking about promotion deals where they're lowering prices. Wegmans is one of the ones that comes top of mind for me. But you know what? I remember that from I remember that from 2009. What do we have in common with 2009 right now? Is people pulling up on groceries. They're having to, lower their grocery budgets because groceries have become so expensive. I will note that in this Washington Post article that's talking all about all these retailers that are lowering their prices, one of the things that they mentioned was that Target said that their sales dropped 3.2% in their most recent earnings report. And usually grocers are a sure thing for same store sales growth. I mean, it's very unusual that a grocer has a negative same store sales. So yeah, they're gonna have to do something.
But they are not a grocer.
No, and that's the other thing too, is that I'm like, back in the day when Target was really doing a push toward grocery, trying to make its stores into grocery stores, super Targets. I was a real fan. I was like, they could have some meaningful change here. There's something to be said for the one-stop shop. But they are kind of seeing that Target is unless you live in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, honestly, Target is a nice to have. It's not a place where you get your need to have things in my experience, and everything always seems to be more expensive. So it would make sense that they are like, oh geez, we better focus on something that people need to have and not just, $50 coffee cups or water cups or whatever they are.
They do, yeah, when they compete with Walmart, basically having the same stuff and everything. A lot of things are nicer there, but definitely more expensive.
Yeah, definitely more expensive. It goes along with what we've been seeing about Aldi lowering prices. Kroger had a news release this week. But Kroger's news release was one of those things that we're starting to get used to seeing for every single holiday, that we've mentioned has been a smart move for retailers, talking about a dollar amount per plate for your upcoming celebration, because people, they need to save money, but we're not wanting to give up our life experiences. People are very much into spending time together, celebrating, but now we need to find ways to do that more cost effectively, and buying your own food and making your own food is definitely one of the key points. And I've been watching, of course, this is the time where I pick up, I mentioned TikTok because, that's where I get all of my finger on the pulse of America.
You Gen Z wannabe.
Gen Z wannabe. I'm a millennial wannabe. I got one foot in millennial. Um, but there's this one thing where everyone's stitching and talking about what's the one thing that you have cut back on in your lives, that now that everything is so expensive. And something that keeps coming up over and over and over again is single serving packaged snacks. Where we're talking about little beef jerkies, this kind of thing. I just happen to have one on my desk because my people want to eat snacks all the time. And I saw this morning a lady was making her own, basically, what do you call it? Snack packs, the yogurt, the what is it? Pudding cups. People making their own little baggies of chips. That is one area that I really feel like is the nice to have of all nice to haves. And we have a lot of that in the produce department. We've had a lot of emphasis on single serving snack pack type things. And I have to wonder, especially as we're going into the summer when people are no longer looking for bulk and we're no longer looking for that school lunch thing, if we're going to start seeing a lot of reduced demand for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I can certainly see it when, I mean, most, I don't, I don't know if it's fair to say the summer tends not to be as busy and on the move as the school year and needing to eat on the go. You don't need to eat on the go quite as much in the summer. And you are I think people are in bigger groups. And so buying bulk makes more sense. Like this Kroger thing. It was a lot of big packs split by 10 or 12 people to get to their price point. Uh, and that's much more summer oriented. I think that's a smart move. And they did include salad, which was nice.
Yeah, but did you notice the salad that they included was the 1997 steakhouse like garden salad with like iceberg? It was the most value conscious salad. If we're gonna promote something there, it was definitely not something fancy.
Store brand as well.
Yeah, right. Yeah, store brand salad for sure. I just thought that
Well,
was
you
really
feed a
interesting.
lot of people that way.
Yep, yep. I mean, it's on brand. If we're trying to save money, then we're gonna eat discount salad, I guess. Or
Well,
we could,
everything in their list was store brand.
of course.
Everything was
Yeah.
private label, which,
Yeah.
Kroger has good private label stuff. That's no big deal.
Yeah, although I have seen some back and forth on LinkedIn lately, and somebody brought up a really good point. I saw someone, my cherries are topical. This is totally off of brand of what we were going to talk, or off list on what we were going to talk about. And now is the time that cherries are starting to hit grocers, and we all know first out of the gate is usually not the ripest cherry out there. We want them to look like this, right? And these looked more like here's another prop, a little brighter red.
I saw that post too, and they had the coloring of Rainiers, but they were not.
Yeah, yeah. And I thought
Problem.
our good retired buddy, but still over there on LinkedIn, Roger Pepperell brought up a really great point, talking about how, this is where a brand would be more accountable for delivering something that is riper, and it's going to weigh more, it's going to get more for the grower. And they're talking it was kind of just like a comment on the cherries were not ready, but we're pushing the market because this is the most expensive time of year. The early season cherries are $10 a pound, but if they are bright red and flavorless, is someone going to come back when they're, $3.99 a pound or $2.99 a pound? That's usually when I start stocking up on cherries, when they start hitting the season peak, and when they start tasting amazing. But those first few out of the gate, oof, yeah, they're not it.
It seems like stone fruit in general is more prone to this kind of error. The
Yes,
shoulders of the season can be extremely marginal quality.
right.
But
And
but everyone gets excited when the season starts. Consumers, shippers, retailers, and some of it's just not there. Whereas strawberries, they're not year round everywhere, but they go through cycles, and you can get I mean, right now, for instance, is right in the middle of a great strawberry cycle as far as high quality, good volumes, pretty low prices at retail.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it can change in a month, whereas it's cherries are pretty consistent. Like once we get in the middle of cherry season, it's going to be that way for a month or more.
yeah. It's gonna be that way in a month for a month, and we're gonna like get tired of cherries almost. But I've heard from everything I've heard, the cherries are gonna be great this year.
You do
So
not get
I'm
tired of cherries in cherry season because we know we have a small window. So you buy
yeah.
a lot, you eat them every day, and then they will be gone.
We've totally gotten off track. What else were we supposed to talk about? Well,
Well, let's see. Oh, we were going to talk about Red Lobster.
Oh, Red Lobster. I totally forgot. Speaking of red,
Right. Yeah, that's the
in the
theme.
red. So we heard over the weekend that Red Lobster has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, and they had a significant list of creditors.
Significant. We put a link in there. If anyone wants to try that sucker, it is over 100,000 creditors.
Yeah, I can't
It's
even.
mind-boggling.
Yeah. But the thing is, and again on TikTok, and then also just in the media, talking about it's, restaurants have had a hard time. Restaurants have had a hard time with profitability, but it appears that Red Lobster's problem wasn't necessarily that people didn't want to eat there. It was all woven up, and all of it kind of reminds me of the circling back to the stone fruit thing, with Primo Wawona and their issues after getting acquired by a private equity. It seems like Red Lobster's downfall started with being acquired by a private equity firm. And then perhaps there was something to do with selling off their real estate and leasing it back to them. And then something to do with shrimp sourcing, and then the endless shrimp that never ended. Um,
Right. That used to be an LTO and they took it to full time. And then there's been a lot of coverage about not properly enforcing sharing of that program, which if you let consumers take advantage of you and don't stand up for yourself as a business, they will do that.
they
And
will
there
do
were
that.
lots of stories about consumers taking advantage of that.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
you have to have the guts as a business to say, nope, 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 no sharing. That defeats the whole purpose. You do not get away with that at an Argentine steakhouse.
right? No, you don't. Actually, you know what? My 15-year-old and all his bros, you know what they did last night? They decided to go to Buffalo Wild Wings to take advantage of the Monday and Wednesday the endless boneless wings for $20 or something like that. But
Yeah,
the experience was so miserable that, my 15-year-old is 6'5" and weighs 230 pounds, and he only ate 20 wings.
because
Because
they didn't bring it out to him in time or what?
they didn't bring them out. It took an hour and a half for them to get a table, and there was like nobody there. I dropped him off, and I was gonna eat with him, maybe have a beer. And then I saw that they told us that it's gonna take an hour for them to get it, or no, they said half an hour for a table, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna go have sushi or something like that. And then an hour and a half later, he was ready to go, and all of his friends were disappointed. But I mean, as a wing place, I would probably be quaking in my boots when I saw this group come in the door.
Oh
But
yeah.
they were they were not the only ones. And they were not the only ones who like walked out looking kind of disappointed. And for him to only have 20 wings, they're basically chicken nuggets at this point.
Yeah.
It kind of shows you that there's something flawed with this bring them in for this, limited price or whatever, and then deliver such terrible service and terrible food that they never want to come back. Because all these guys are like, we should have gone to Wingstop, and just had 20 wings and paid $20 for 20 wings or whatever. So some of these deals at these restaurants, if they're not delivering, then they're not going to get the people to come back in.
No, it does. It seems penny wise, pound foolish.
Yeah.
That
We're
repeat
all
business is not going to be there. But that's also not the customer they're looking for, one who can't drink beer.
yes, that's it. They want the never-ending Dr. Pepper and never-ending boneless wings, and they're
Right.
gonna eat $32 worth of food and pay 20 for it.
Yeah, that's get out of here.
What else do we got on the docket for today?
I think that should cover it.
All right, well, that's it for the Produce Reporter Week in Review. If you are not getting the Produce Reporter newsletter, you need to go to producebluebook.com and sign up.
And don't look for us to have much more seafood coverage.
No. Although I've heard the seafood market is cheap, it's supposed to be cheap. If there's deals to be had, um, but not a
Aldi
Red
gets
Lobster.
very good salmon.
You know what Red Lobster has that you can get it at the store now? Cheddar biscuits. You can get your own cheddar biscuit recipe and make them on your own.